Radio 1450 WCTC. Call Jersey Central at 732-545-9282. Toll free at 888-545-9282. Watch Jersey Central live online at WCTCAM.com or listen on your smartphone with the iHeartRadio or TuneIn apps. Connect with WCTC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube by searching 1450 WCTC. And now back to Jersey's Morning Show. Jersey Central with Bert Barron.
For the Ford's Jewelers, Omega time is 8:37. Ford's Jewelers, the official jeweler of 1450 WCTC. Good morning. It is Bert. We got our Need to Know Things coming up in just a few moments. I want to get right to the Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline. As you know, earlier this week, we suddenly lost a great friend and a great ally for New Jersey in State Senator Jim Whelan. And joining me now just to talk about the relationship he had and what he meant to New Jersey is another great ally at WCTC. Senate President of the state of New Jersey, Steve Sweeney, is joining me this morning here. Senator, good morning. It's Bert Barron. How are you?
Bert, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Good to talk to you, and condolences on the loss of Senator Whelan. And I was just looking at a picture this morning from an event earlier this spring where you and Senator Whelan and some people had gathered in Atlantic City to talk about the future plans that were happening there and what Hard Rock Hotel and Casino and the plans that were happening there. Was he excited about the resurgence of Atlantic City? And I'm sure he would have loved to have seen things kind of continue to turn around there. But it was his love and his real passion was Atlantic City and Atlantic County and South Jersey, right?
Yeah. And Bert, Jim was never someone to sit on the sidelines. Jim was always willing to step up and do the tough things. Things not every politician likes to do. He was willing to do things that he knew would become popular, like what we did in Atlantic City with the legislation that took over the government, where the state took over the government. And, it worked. You're seeing all this investment in Atlantic City again. So, Jim was just a class act. I tell people, he was a tall guy, but he really was a giant because he reached out across the aisle there was no one could say a bad word about him. Everyone liked him. Even after our election in 2013, I had some Republican senators come up to me and say, "Boy, we're thrilled that Jim Whelan got reelected."
Wow.
Because he's such a great guy. And that really is the truth. Any positive words would fit him. You know what I mean? A legend, warrior. No one fought harder for Atlantic City. And like I said, he was courageous. He just wasn't afraid to step up and take the tough votes. And I'm devastated by his loss. We knew he was leaving the legislature, because he wanted to spend time with his wife because he and his wife both had some health issues. And I spoke to him the morning he passed. And he told me he was going to see a specialist on Friday and that he was looking forward to getting back. He was actually even going to try to come. We were working on a session for Friday, and he was trying to figure out how he could make it. And that's just the kind of guy he is. And I, said, "Worry about yourself." He says, No. He says, I'll figure it out.
Wow. I'm amazed by his level of dedication, Senator. Here's a guy that was a lifeguard in the city, served as mayor, and wore a bunch of hats there in Atlantic City. And his passion comes through. I had Senator Vitale on yesterday, and he basically said the same things you had done. He wasn't afraid to say what needed to be said. Maybe not the most vocal guy in the room, but when it came time to say something to kind of clarify things and kind of set things straight, he was the first guy to speak up and speak his mind and make sure everybody was kind of on the same page. And I'm sure you guys had worked shoulder to shoulder for who knows how many years there in South Jersey. And just there's probably so many good stories. We couldn't recount them all. But on a personal level, he just sounds like just one of the nicest guys you ever want to know also.
Yeah, Jim was really a caring guy. He cared a great deal about the citizens of Atlantic City and this district and the state of New Jersey. He was just there's not enough words to describe him. He was just a good man, and when he would speak, people listened because he didn't raise his voice often. he did, it was something. It was something very serious. And Loretta, I read a comment Loretta Weinberg said that he taught her how, to stand her ground while listening and compromising. And Jim was, like I said, from what I watched, I knew Jim when he was the mayor, and that city was run the best when he was the mayor. And then, he moved on, and he lost an election for mayor, and we were fortunate to get him to run for the legislature because he was just too good of a talent. If he had not passed away, we would have absolutely seen him serving in some capacity, whether it's on the Stockton board, college, university, or we would have Jim. Jim just had so much knowledge. We couldn't let him sit on the sideline. Even if he retired, we'd have him in some kind of a volunteer capacity. And Jim was always willing to step up and do what's right for the community.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Bert, when we had to do the Atlantic City legislation, think about this. He lives in the city, and we knew that we were going to upset a lot of people with it, and that he was going to live right in the center of the heat. And he said to me, he said, "Steve, it has to get done." He says, "I live there. We need to fix it." And guess what? They're down. Their taxes are down about 15%. You know what I mean? You have Hard Rock. We were at the Hard Rock. There's 3,000 people going to go back to work there, and hundreds of construction jobs. Stockton University. Jim had a big part of getting the funding to get Stockton building in Atlantic City and South Jersey Gas. So, a leader doesn't sit on the sideline. They jump in and they do what's necessary to get the job done. And Jim was absolutely everything someone would want to envision in a leader.
Yeah, always working, always there for the people. And you had mentioned about his was going to be, quote unquote, kind of retiring away, but he would have been involved somehow as a volunteer, maybe just working at some level with some organizations or whatnot. He was a guy that he probably always wanted to give, Senator. Is that fair? He always wanted to give and be there for people.
Oh, yeah.
and help out and share his knowledge and experience just to make Jersey a better place. And you just simply don't replace guys like him.
No, Jim. Bert. Jim knew that when he got elected, he was there to serve the people. The people weren't there to serve him, and he every day looked at it that, hey, we got a job to do, and he represents 220,000 people, and he wanted to put his best effort each time. When I begged him to run again. I was trying to get him to run again because he's just such a good guy. And he said to me, he said, "Look, Steve, I just don't have." And, I told him, I said, you won't have to go through it. Jim, you're seasoned. We won't, we'll take a lot of the pressure off. And he said, "Steve, I don't have it to give the 100%. And if I can't give 100%, I can't do this. It wouldn't be fair to the people I serve." That's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah.
If Jim ran, he'd won. If Jim ran again, he would win again. But, we were telling him, you wouldn't have to campaign as hard because he really wouldn't. Jim's a brand. Jim's a brand name, and it's a real good brand.
Sure.
But he said, "Look, I can't put a half effort in." He said, "I can't do that to the people of my district."
Yeah. When like you had said.
How do you not? Yeah.
Like when you had said,
he
had worked so hard and had earned the respect of so many people. And like you said, it's a brand. People knew his name. They knew his reputation. They knew his track record. And it would have just been a formality. But he'll be missed, the Senator. There's no doubt about it. Just so, where do we go from here? Is there anything in our Constitution? Does someone now complete his term, or is there a special election? Have we gotten to that point yet as far as what will happen next?
Well, what will happen next is the Democrat Party in Atlantic County has 30 days from his passing to have a convention.
Okay.
To select someone that would finish Jim's term out, which would end in January of 18. And that process is up to the Atlantic County Democrat Party to figure out who they want to finish Jim's term. I'm not rushing. And I think that there's just a little bit of time should pass before we decide.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I mean, out of respect to the man and what he stood for. You know, we're not having Jim being short one senator isn't going to make a difference right now. We don't have a whole lot of activity going on because both houses are up for election,
Mm-hmm.
and but I just think that in honor of Jim's legacy, there shouldn't be any real conversation on who's taking his place. Because I got to tell you, no one will ever be able to take his place.
Wow, that's an incredible compliment from you, Senator. And I wish we were speaking on happier terms, but I can't thank you enough for making yourself available today to talk about your colleague and your friend, Jim Whelan. And much like yourself, just a tireless guy to make New Jersey a better place, not just South Jersey. He worked for all of us, Senator, and there was no doubt about it. His loss will be felt for a fair amount of time here. And my condolences to you. And again, thank you so much for your time today. And guys like him just don't come along and come along often. So thank you again for the time this morning, Senator. And again, my condolences. All right.
Thank you, Bert.
All
Take
right.
care.
All right. You as well. Thank you. All right. Senate President Steve Sweeney.